Alright, what's up guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/TalesFromRetail. This story's called, "A Customer Makes My Night Just a Little Bit Better." So this happened about a week or so ago, and I only just now had the time to post it. A little background to start us off. I currently work in a well-known retail chain as a cashier. I've handled every Tom, Richard, and Harry, and every female counterpart of those names. Almost every situation you can think of, I or one of my coworkers has either witnessed it or experienced it firsthand. So this little event was enough to make me smile for the remainder of my shift. It was a Saturday night around 8:45. I was the only legal-aged cashier on duty, and I was ready to go home and hit the hay. The day itself hadn't been too crazy considering it being a Saturday, but I digress. Fridays and Saturdays in retail could very well be an unknown circle of hell, especially during these crazy times. In order to make this job a bit more fun for myself and the customers, I'm known in my store for being a jokester or pun maker. I keep the transaction going while making a pun, joke, or silly comment about the item I've just scanned. Most of the time, I'm able to keep the flow going. I have self-put rules for this though. 1, it has to be a family-friendly joke or pun. 2, it has to make sense so at least one person in the family gets it. 3, I never make the same pun twice in the transaction unless it will fit well with the item better than the first one I used it on. And 4, I don't stop scanning and bagging while I'm doing this. I stay professional and friendly all the while making the customer smile, or at least attempting to. A lot of customers purposely come back and check out with me just so they can see me do this. More than once, I have been told by a customer that I have made their day. One of the company policies we have at the store is 1 for each customer or transaction for paper towels, toilet paper, hand sanitizer, soap, etc. Well, if the party has 2 or more people, I will subtly inform them they could buy the second one of the items listed above in a second transaction. Some will accept the offer, and I set the items to the side until the first transaction is run through. And some say, "Oh, it's fine," whereas some don't even pay attention to me and throw a hissy fit when they can't get the 2 products on the same transaction. The latter has happened so many times, if I had a nickel for each time, I'd be on my way to being highly well off. This particular night, I had an elderly couple, old enough to be considered senior citizens, but appeared and acted young enough they could still kick it old style. Here's the cast.
Nice lady.
Nice guy. Me.
I hope this register's open.
Yep, come on in. I proceed to log into the register and immediately notice duplicates of the items mentioned above and internally sigh. When it comes to the response of the customers, it's usually 50-50, so I'm never sure how they're going to react. "Ma'am, unfortunately, we're only allowed to do 1 pack of paper towels per transaction."
Oh, well, in that case, I'll pay for a package and my husband will pay for the other one.
I smile and ring up the duplicates while chatting and making a few puns and jokes. They're loving it, claiming I should be a stand-up comedian and just having a good time. I total up the first batch, they pay, and I keep going on to the second. As I'm talking with them, I notice they had picked up 3 Kit Kat candy bars from the impulse section of the checkouts. Note that I love Kit Kats. I want to try almost every flavor out there. There are over 200 to be exact, but nothing beats the original. As I scan the candy bars, I mention my like for them and smile as I set them down in front of the customer. Well, 2 of them. "1 for you." I hold out 1 to nice lady. "1 for you." I hold out 1 to nice guy. And 1 for me. I jokingly move the candy bar towards my pocket before smiling and placing all 3 onto the shelf where the customers write checks. I keep going with the remaining items when nice guy smiles, holding out the 3rd Kit Kat. "You go ahead and have that." "What?"
Yes, go ahead.
I accept the candy bar with a bright smile as I finish up their second transaction. Thank you so much. I wasn't sure if that was actually allowed at the store, but it was almost 9 p.m. with hardly any managers or customers around, and I didn't want to appear rude by turning down the kind gesture. I hand them their receipt, make sure all their bags bags and items are in their cart and wish them a good night. They had 66 items and an over $300 order, but the whole time they were kind and friendly and literally gave me a break I didn't know I needed. Thank you for reading, and please remember to stay safe and healthy. Also, if you go to a retail store and they have limits on items, please don't take it out on the associates. We're only following the rules laid out for us. We don't make them. Yes, very true. As the saying goes, don't shoot the messenger, but give them a Kit Kat. Alright, this story's called, Sir, You Have to Wait Here. Back in the 90s, while in college, I worked in a small store of a large nationwide grocery chain part-time to help pay for my books, extra food and snacks, etc. Back then, many grocery stores had video departments. I worked in the non-foods department, where we also manned the video counter, the lottery machine, and had a register. Couldn't sell anything sold by weight like produce, as there was no scale. You can imagine how busy Saturday nights would get with folks wanting to rent videos and other folks wanting lottery tickets. One such Saturday night in January, around 6:15, this older gentleman came through with a paper lunch sack.
Here's my money, here's my list. I'm going to walk around the store, and when I come back, I want my lottery tickets.
He took off. I looked in the sack, and there was about $300 in cash and 4 pages on lined notebook paper full of 3 to 4-digit lottery numbers, all arranged in different groups, whether he wanted them boxed, smaller price, straight, a number order has to be exact, or some other way. I looked at my coworker, who shrugged and began helping the next person in line who wanted to rent a video. Over the next 15 minutes, I kept entering lottery numbers on the machine just for this one guy, who was nowhere near the counter. A lady came up and wanted to order lottery tickets as well, and I explained what I was doing and that there was going to be a wait. She became upset, rightfully so, and went to drag a manager over, who told me to stop what I was doing and help the lady in front of me, since the gentleman wasn't there. So I did, and the next person, and the next person, because the manager was standing a few feet away watching me. At 7:10, the gentleman returned and was livid because I didn't have his tickets completed. He told me he was going to walk around some more and that I had better have them ready in 10 minutes when he returned, regardless of the fact that we had 2 lines 10 deep. I asked him to stay there, and he refused. Other customers became angry, so I started helping them. The next 3 told me that guy had some nerve and that they were going to complain to the manager about him. Next thing I know, the 10 minutes have passed and the guy's list still isn't done. It's been over an hour since he brought it to me. He became upset, started yelling at me, saying that I was messing with his money and that if he didn't win because the ticket wasn't finished, he was going to sue. He left and dragged a manager back over. It's 7:25 at this point, and the machine would automatically stop allowing any more tickets to be purchased at that point because the drawings would begin 5 minutes later, complaining that I didn't finish up his tickets. Mind, this is a different manager than before, and of course, the manager took his side, saying that since he was there first, I should have completed his order before starting on anyone else's. Once the gentleman left and the line disappeared, the manager pulled me upstairs to the office to give me a talking to. The first manager was up there and heard the second one telling me I was getting written up, and he interjected. He told the second manager what really happened and told him that the guy kept leaving and refusing to stay in line so I could work on his list. He also informed him that several other customers had come to him to complain about that guy, and that this wasn't the first time he had done it, and therefore I wasn't to be punished. From then on, it was decided that if the gentleman came back to pull the same stunt, that I and my coworkers had to tell him he either needed to stay right there, or there would be no guarantee his numbers would be input completely and on time. He could also come in other days of the week to play his numbers for Saturday. Wouldn't you know it, but the next Saturday he shows up at 6:45 with another $200 worth of list of numbers to play. He tried leaving, and I told him that he needed to stay right there where he was if he wanted those numbers, or he would have to explain to the 8 other people in line behind him why they couldn't play their numbers as well. He tried to protest, and I offered to get a manager. He backed down, and I worked his numbers. This time, the line of customers behind him were mad at him instead of me, and rightfully so. From then on, he started coming in earlier in the afternoon and stayed there to have a conversation with me while I input his numbers. Ended up being a cool guy, but terribly clueless that others also wanted to play. I swear to God, some people, like the lottery people, they always have some weird choosiness when it comes to picking a ticket, but they always come back. And you know what that means? They never win. This story's called Mufasa! Stampede in the store! OP's down there! The holidays have often been a bit contentious for me. I'm not a very social individual, and I don't enjoy being around my single father very much. He was quite toxic. In an effort to avoid spending Thanksgiving evening with him, I thought it'd be better if I worked Black Friday at a major retail chain. Big mistake! I heard the horror stories about people fighting each other over a new stuffed animal, but I thought those were things of the past. This store had quite a few employees, and we had more advanced means of security than back in the era of Cabbage Patch Kids. Our boss also seemed to have a good idea on how to handle massive crowds. We'd only let a certain amount of customers in at a time, direct them to an employee who'd then direct them to exactly where to find certain items: toys, furniture, electronics, etc. We also hired extra security in case things got ugly. After I parked my car, I took one look at the store, and my stomach dropped. It was only 7:45 p.m. and already the store was lined up with customers crowding around the front doors. At times, I was afraid they were going to break through the display windows. Sticking to our plan, my boss had a security officer be the one to let customers in, and I'd be the one redirecting customers to their desired aisle. I was 18 and built like a bouncer, so I was pretty strong and thought I could handle it. The moment 8 p.m. rolled in, all hell broke loose. The security guard tried only letting in a young couple first, but so many people brushed their way into the store that the doors burst open, allowing the entire crowd to flow in like the wildebeest from The Lion King. I didn't have time to say anything before I felt myself getting trampled over as well. Everyone's loafers, sneakers, and high heels clobbering at my head, arms, legs, and back. I remember screaming, "Help! Somebody please help me!" I just kept my eyes shut, screaming the entire time, convinced I was about to die there. Then I felt some people pulling me out and shouting, "Call 911!" A colleague took me to the break room, comforting me and giving me paper towels for my bleeding scalp until the paramedics arrived. I ended up suffering from a concussion and a laceration that required I get staple stitches in my head. During my time off, my boss apologized profusely and assured me that all my injuries would be covered under workman's comp. He also offered to make me Employee of the Month for being so brave. I didn't say this to him, but he could stick that award where the sun didn't shine. It's because of his poor planning that I was nearly killed by a mob of customers. Also, a few coworkers contacted me to see how I was doing. According to them, after my near-death experience, the store had shut down their entire floor to prevent any more employees from being hurt. That store stayed closed throughout all of Black Friday, and a lot of employees quit. Can't say I blamed them. It took quite a while before I felt comfortable ever working in retail again. To this day, I still wish I'd spent Thanksgiving feigning a good time with my toxic father and nice relatives. At least I wouldn't need stitches. Okay, first of all, don't regret that bad experience. Badass. That is an incredible story. I know at the time, very, very scary, because there have been many people that have died being trampled by Black Friday crowds, which is ironic, given that the day before is spent reflecting on how thankful we are to have everything we have in our lives, be they material or emotional or whatever the hell. Anyway, OP 100% could have died, and that's something we can't glaze over. Look, that is ridiculous. And OP, I'm sorry you went through that, because goddamn, but thank you for sharing. This story's called The Night I Called 911. I worked night self-checkout for 5 years, and this story is still fresh in my mind. It was late, like almost time to count late. Guy comes in, I turn around. Because he's a regular and am sorting go-backs, I hear a low moan and a thudding noise and turn around in shock. My regular is having a massive seizure and is bashing his head on the self-checkout machine. I didn't have time to dither. I wasn't sure if I could get him on the ground safely. He was much taller than me, so I grabbed a bank chair and shoulder checked him into it before getting on the intercom. I had to have a manager's approval to call 911. This was the only time I swore at work in 5 years. Night crew manager, get your freaking ass to self-checkout now! My night guys knew I don't swear at work, much less on the intercom. These guys came running, probably assuming we'd been robbed. They see the guy and don't know what to do. Thankfully, I write and had been researching seizures for a project. Get him on the ground and stabilize his head. I'm calling 911 now. I dialed the number. The wait was agonizing. They arrived, loaded him up, and took him away. A week or two later, guy came in. It turns out it was a diabetic seizure, and if I hadn't acted quickly as I did, he would have been more hurt, or worse, died. He bought me flowers and chocolate once a week till I left. That's a really sweet story, and good on you, OP, for taking action. I know a situation like that can be scary. It's like, oh, is this as serious as it is? Do I get involved? A lot of these thoughts can ring through your head, and the fact that you just acted, good on you.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.